Okay, here we go. 8-7, quadratics using square roots. Okay, things get a little more complicated now when we get into square roots and completing the square, the next section, but we can do this. So let's go slow. If x squared equals a, and a is a positive real number, then x equals plus or minus the square root of a. You remember that square roots have two answers. If a is a negative number, then there is no solution. You cannot have the square root of a negative number. So let's take a look at these. I have x squared equals 121, positive number. Square root of 121 plus or minus 11. Two solutions. X squared equals 0. That means x equals 0. One solution. X squared equals negative 16. And when I take the square root of each side, the square root of negative 16 is never going to happen right now. We aren't in the life of imaginary numbers. We aren't there yet. So right now, the square root of negative 16 does not exist. No solution. This is going to become important because in the next section, when we do completing the square, you need to remember no solution. Let's take a look at this example. I've done it two different ways for you. 4x squared minus 25 equals 0. Add 25 to both sides. 4x squared equals 25. Divide both sides by 4. X squared equals 25 over 4. Okay, now I take the square root of both sides and the square root of 25 over 4. Remember, if they're both, the numerator and denominator are perfect squares, you can separate them and take the square root of each. In this case, they are both perfect squares, so I'm going to take the square root of 25 is 5, square root of 4 is 2, plus or minus 5 halves, or plus or minus 2.5. On this side, I took 4x squared minus 25 equals 0. 2x minus 25 times 2x plus 25. I did some factoring. Equals 0. 2x minus 5 equals 0, or 2x plus 5 equals 0. I can solve both binomials, and x equals 2.5, or x equals negative 2.5. Two solutions. If you need to take another moment to follow this, do that. I know that my class, we've already covered how to factor with squares, so you already know this. This is my difference of two squares, so you already know how to do this. But take another look at it. Either way, you're getting the same solution, and there are two of them. Here are some practice for you. Simple. Square root of both sides. Square root of both sides. Immediately I see a negative 100. I see that's going to be a problem. Here I'm going to do my difference of two squares. And when I do my difference of two squares, I get plus or minus 5. I didn't show you the work for each one of these, so you would need to go back and go ahead and try to solve each one of them. Of course, if I was in class, I'd be typing this all out for you right at the moment, but I'm just going over the notes that we have. So you had 3x squared minus 75 equals 0. You can divide everything by 3. You can get that x squared by itself. You would have had x squared minus 25 still equals 0. That's how I got my x equals plus or minus 5. Try some. See what you can do. Luckily, look at these. These are already all a bunch of perfect squares for you, so life doesn't look too hard right at the moment. So go ahead and give both of these a try. Remember, when you're factoring with perfect squares, I'm going to have x equals plus or minus 5/9, and I'm going to have no solution because I'm going to end up with a negative value. Two more to practice with. 16x squared plus 10 equals 131. X minus 3 squared equals 64. Use the examples from the beginning. Go all the way back to here. Follow what we did in this example, and actually right from here, from this example, follow it. Go back, try them, stop your screen, and here are your two answers. Luckily, the bottom one, I was able to finally show you the work. X minus 3 squared equals 64. Take the square root of both sides. X minus 3 equals plus or minus 8. You're just taking the square root of both sides. You can move that 10 over. You can get rid of the 16, or you take the, you know that you've got a perfect square here. You have your 4x. Good luck. This was a short section. Please go over it though, because clearly this page right here is important and shows you what you need to do. Okay? Because I got rid of that 4 from this 4x right here by dividing both sides by 4. Eventually I needed to do that. Or I just went ahead and factored it because they were both perfect squares and I could do my difference of two squares. You can always look back at chapter 7 at factoring. You can remember how to do this. Good luck. I have great faith in you. Soon our discriminant is coming. Only two more sections, and you're going to finally learn the quadratic formula and the discriminant.